Hello, dear subscribers. Today I'll tell you about one of the most powerful and symbolic novels of the 20th century, Animal Farm by George Orwell. George Orwell's Animal Farm is not just a story about animals on a farm. It is a mirror held up to human society, a timeless reflection on power, corruption, and the fragile nature of freedom. Published in 1945, it remains one of the most brilliant political allegories ever written. On the surface, it tells a simple fable about animals who overthrow their human master, but beneath that simplicity lies a profound commentary on revolution, dictatorship, and the manipulation of truth. The story begins on Manor Farm, a place ruled by a careless, drunken farmer named Mr. Jones. He neglects the animals, overworks them, and keeps all the fruits of their labor for himself. One night, an old and wise pig named Old Major calls a secret meeting in the barn. He speaks passionately about the injustice animals suffer under human tyranny. In his speech, Old Major dreams of a world where animals are free, equal, and control their own destinies. He teaches them a revolutionary song called Beasts of England, which becomes their anthem of hope. Soon after, Old Major dies, but his dream takes root. The pigs, considered the smartest animals, begin to organize the rebellion. Two pigs, Snowball and Napoleon, emerge as leaders. Together they prepare the animals to rise against Mr. Jones. One day, when Jones forgets to feed them, the hungry animals revolt. They chase him away from the farm and take control of it themselves. The victory is glorious. They rename it Animal Farm, and a new era of equality begins. At first, everything seems perfect. The animals write down 7 commandments on the barn wall, principles of animalism that promise fairness, unity, and equality. The most famous of them is, all animals are equal. They work hard together and proudly declare that the farm now belongs to them. There is joy, hope, and purpose in every heart. They even raise their own flag and hold meetings to decide everything collectively. But slowly, things begin to change. The pigs start taking special privileges. Napoleon and Snowball disagree on almost everything, from how to organize the farm to whether they should build a windmill that Snowball believes will bring progress. Their rivalry grows bitter. One day, Napoleon uses his trained dogs to violently chase Snowball away. From that moment, Napoleon becomes the farm's unquestioned ruler. The democratic meetings stop. Decisions are made only by Napoleon and his circle of loyal pigs. This marks the beginning of the farm's transformation from a hopeful revolution into a cruel dictatorship. Napoleon begins to resemble a human tyrant. He lives in the farmhouse, sleeps in a bed, and drinks alcohol, all actions once forbidden by the 7 commandments. The commandments themselves begin to mysteriously change. For example, no animal shall sleep in a bed becomes no animal shall sleep in a bed with sheets. The pigs insist these changes have always been there. The other animals, though suspicious, are too ignorant or frightened to question it. Slowly, truth itself becomes a tool in the hands of those in power. Squealer, a small pig with great rhetorical skill, becomes Napoleon's mouthpiece. Whenever the animals begin to doubt their leader, Squealer uses clever words, false statistics, and emotional manipulation to convince them that Napoleon is always right. He tells them, "You do not want Jones to come back, do you?" And the animals fall silent. Fear replaces freedom. Lies become reality. One of the most tragic figures in the story is Boxer, the hard-working horse. He believes deeply in the cause and adopts 2 simple mottos: I will work harder and Napoleon is always right. Boxer represents the loyal working class, strong, sincere, but easily exploited. Even when his strength begins to fade, he keeps working until he collapses. When he is injured, instead of being cared for, he is sold to the glue factory. The pigs tell the animals he died peacefully in a hospital, but the truth is far darker. Boxer's fate shows how oppressive systems use and discard their most faithful servants. As years pass, Animal Farm becomes indistinguishable from the old Manor Farm. The pigs walk on 2 legs, wear clothes, and even invite humans for dinner. The other animals, looking through the window, can no longer tell the difference between pig and man. The revolution that once promised equality ends in total betrayal. The final commandment is changed to a single chilling line: all animals are equal, but some animals are more equal than others. This single sentence captures the essence of Orwell's warning. Power corrupts, and absolute power corrupts absolutely. Animal Farm is not only about Soviet communism, which it directly parodies, but about the universal danger of any political system that replaces one tyranny with another. It is a cycle of hope, manipulation, and oppression that repeats throughout human history. Now, let's look deeper at what Orwell wanted to tell us through this short but powerful story. The meaning behind the characters. Each major character in Animal Farm represents a real force or figure from history. Old Major symbolizes both Karl Marx and Vladimir Lenin, thinkers who inspired revolution. Snowball stands for Leon Trotsky, the revolutionary idealist exiled by Stalin. Napoleon, of course, represents Joseph Stalin himself, cunning, ruthless, and obsessed with control. Squealer is the propaganda machine, twisting facts to serve the regime. Boxer represents the working class, loyal but exploited. Benjamin the Donkey, cynical and intelligent, represents those who see corruption but remain silent. Orwell's brilliance lies in how he translates complex political ideas into a simple story anyone can understand. By using animals, he removes national and racial identity, allowing the reader to see the universal truth that power, when unchecked, leads to corruption, no matter who holds it. Themes and lessons. 1. The corruption of ideals. The revolution begins with pure intentions, equality, and justice, but power quickly twists these ideals. Orwell shows how noble dreams can be destroyed when leaders place their interests above those of the people. 2. Propaganda and control. Through Squealer's speeches, we see how language can be weaponized. By controlling what people hear and believe, rulers control their minds. This theme remains painfully relevant today in the age of misinformation. 3. Ignorance and apathy. The other animal's inability to read or question authority allows tyranny to thrive. Orwell warns that freedom requires awareness. Without education and courage, even the best societies can fall. 4. The cycle of oppression. The story ends exactly where it began, with one class dominating another. Orwell implies that unless the underlying nature of greed and power changes, history will repeat itself endlessly. Symbolism and style. Orwell's style in Animal Farm is deceptively simple. The language is clear and almost childlike, yet behind every line hides deep symbolism. The windmill, for instance, represents false promises of progress, a project used to keep the animals busy and distracted. The changing commandments symbolize how truth can be rewritten by those in power. Even the song Beasts of England, once a symbol of hope, is banned when it no longer serves the leadership. Relevance today. Even though Animal Farm was written 80 years ago, its message remains timeless. In any society where people stop questioning authority, propaganda becomes truth, and power becomes absolute. The same story repeats. Orwell's warning is not directed at one political system but at human nature itself, our tendency to believe what comforts us rather than what is true. Moral and final thoughts. At its core, Animal Farm is not a pessimistic story, it's a call for vigilance. Orwell urges us to think critically, to question, to never hand over our freedom in exchange for security or empty promises. It reminds us that revolutions do not guarantee justice. Only awareness and moral courage can preserve it. The tragedy of Animal Farm is that the animals' dream of equality was betrayed not by their enemies, but by their leaders, and by their own silence. As the animals stare through the farmhouse window in the final scene, unable to tell pig from man, we see the reflection of our own world, a world where history often repeats because people forget its lessons. George Orwell wrote this novel not merely as a story but as a warning, and that warning remains alive today, whispering from every page. Power without accountability leads inevitably to tyranny. Thank you for listening carefully. Please like and subscribe to my channel. Goodbye.